You're listening to Film Juice with Mike and
And
John,
John.
and we're going to be talking to you about Resident Evil today and how much it fails at being a survival horror film.
And on top of that, how it actually was it marked the return of zombie horror.
Right.
A lot of interesting things
Y-
about this movie.
You know what's interesting about it is, like, it started out, George Romero himself wrote a draft of the movie, and it was rejected, but it was also literally mark for mark. I swear, it was beat for beat the very first game itself. So it took place in the Arclay Mansion,
Mm.
and you would go in, and it had all the characters there. It had Barry. Who were the other ones?
There
Um,
was it Claire?
yeah, it was Claire. He didn't duck from any of the things from the game itself. Like, he kind of just translated the game to a movie,
Mm.
and for whatever reason, they rejected it. And I guess they wanted more action.
I was reading that Romero's script was like Capcom did like the script.
Hmm.
And because the creators of Resident Evil actually were inspired by a lot of George Romero's films and films like Alien as well,
Yeah,
and all
because
those
those are
other.
all, yeah, it's all haunted house movies basically.
Exactly, they loved it, and but like you said, they wanted something that was. I think one of the quotes that I had read was that the script felt like an older horror movie. It didn't feel like.
Yeah, it didn't feel contemporary,
Yeah.
and I guess at the time, early 2000s, because that was the time of, like, Triple X, the Vin Diesel movie, and, like, all these other, like, action movies, like, just
Yeah.
like, nobody wanted
Matrix.
anything. The
That was.
Matrix really kind of kicked it off. Like, you
Yeah.
wanted something fast
You
paced
you
and, like,
bullet time. And
yeah,
and
bullet time.
bullet
Yeah,
time. And this movie has bullet time, which is
it
funny.
does have bullet time when she kicks a dog in the face.
Oh, I was reading the first game actually had Jill Valentine and Chris
Oh,
Redfield.
it had Jill. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
Chris
I don't know.
in the second one, I wanna say.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
with, Leon.
they should have let Barry live, but
Yeah.
he
They
was kind of
do.
fun.
In the remake, he does live, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's the one I've played all the way through. I played the Resident Evil remake, just recently, and it was good. I liked it. But yeah, he does live and he helps you out throughout the game.
oh, that's good. Well, I'm glad Barry lives. But what else we got? She wakes up in the in. I mean, we're to assume it's the Arclay Mansion.
Right. And it actually once you gets you there, and a little bit actually before that, it does feel like it gives you the sense of the game. I think the
Hmm.
best because she does wake up and she's actually just like you in the game. You're exploring the mansion and she's lost her memory. And so she's
Hmm.
exploring the mansion and picking up photos, reading notes on the desk, looking at windows,
Okay, yeah,
opening doors, and the angles. The director Paul W.S. Anderson did pretty good with some of the.
yeah. Some of the angles, like, they seemed a lot like the game, like
Mm,
just the corner or skewed,
camera, yeah.
or like Dutch angles, just kind of like staying glued to the actors and just kind of like skewed a little bit. Yeah, it made it feel a little more like the game instead of just some random weird horror movie.
The director didn't want to make a direct sequel or direct um, telling of the Resident Evil game.
Hmm.
He kind of saw it in his eyes as a separate story and like a prequel.
Oh, yeah, he thought it was a prequel, and I gotta
That
say, no,
you
go
know,
ahead.
at the same time, like it helps me understand where he was coming from, but
Hmm.
as someone who goes to watch the movie, the name doesn't help that
No.
perspective. It would have been
If you go watch Resident Evil, you wanna watch the game, basically. Like, you wanna
yeah,
watch something unfold in that universe, and at the same time, or instead of that, like, you wanna watch someone, kind of, like, just kinda go through the mansion and
yeah,
open up doors, and weird things happen, giant spiders, um,
and
and then something runs across the camera, and you don't see what it is.
at the time, I don't know about now how Resident Evil is kind of perceived, but at that time, when we thought of Resident Evil, we thought of the haunted, like people thought of the haunted house. They thought of
Right. Yeah.
because that was the one that kicked it all off. And the second one was it's similar because you're in the police station as well
Yeah.
uh,
No,
throughout.
the police station was equally scary,
Yeah,
I think.
that was the reason a lot of people were disappointed because even I remember being disappointed because of that. Like I was like, "What is this? Like, what's going
Like,
on here?"
it's all in the lab. Like,
Yeah, and
I
so
guess, maybe they thought, like, the source of it being scary, or was a I don't see how it was a budget thing. You can just film in a mansion.
yeah, that's true. I think it was just largely influenced by the director, I guess. And now that I think about it, it's probably a mixture because he had a story already written that he basically said was a ripoff of Resident Evil, and so he had kind of you came with that, and then like what we were saying as far as like kind of the higher ups wanting something more modern kind of thing.
I guess so. I think they wanted production thing. I don't know, it was a director decision. It feels a lot like the producers wanted something kinda, but how is it cheaper to build, like, a set that looks like a lab than to shoot in this mansion that already exists? I don't know.
I think it was partly the time, like you were saying, is like those action, like especially coming from the Matrix. That was like what, like a year or two before that, before this
Yeah,
movie.
about 2 years.
That was huge, like for the film industry, and I think just all those things together. Just this is kind of what they decided to do, and you're right though. I mean, I think budget wise, it probably would have cost less. I mean, to even just keep it in one mansion, but
Yeah, I mean, this was like green screen territory. Like, you can just green screen it.
mm,
Instead, they were still building sets. And I hate green screen, but if you've got a story to tell, go ahead. It's gonna cost a little more to get somebody to animate the background.
I think so. Yeah, the name is just Resident Evil. I don't know what they could have called it to help people, like, just not have that expectation.
Biohazard,
But right. Yeah, I think that would just pissed off Japan fans, I don't know.
probably, because they've had their own number of, it's all in quotes, but biohazard fans, I'm sure they have their own, like, I don't know what
Like
those people expect.
expectations and stuff.
Yeah, because they mostly put out like animated projects and stuff,
Mm,
based on biohazard slash Resident Evil properties. But yeah, so the first threat doesn't come from zombies. It comes from lasers.
oh, yeah.
Is that appropriate?
And
I mean, it's cool looking, and we already saw it. I don't know if you've seen the film Cube, but it's already happened before, where somebody is literally cubed.
oh, really?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
that's a good movie. I think you would like it. I think you would like it. It's a short. It's kind of an indie movie with some like rugged special effects, but it's still good.
Hmm,
Um,
okay. Looks creepy.
there's a there's a gate that comes down. Okay, in the movie, I'll just say it. I don't care. So like, there's like five people trapped, and They don't know how they got there. And they're trapped in this weird room. One guy tries to get out, and he gets out. And the cube decides, yeah, no, you're not getting out. So it slams like this uh, fence on him, and he's just a bunch of cubes, and they fall apart.
Mm.
So I would wonder, like, okay, that's not what I think of Resident Evil right away.
But that's interesting because it almost sounds like the scene in Resident Evil. It's just a little detail. The only
Yeah,
like it's just a few little details if they're of course like different, but I mean there are four people trapped in that room in Resident Evil that end up
it's
getting
only
sliced.
4. I thought it was like 10.
I know.
Um, it feels like
It
10.
does feel like 10. Too many. They
Um, but yeah, that's what happens in Resident Evil. Is like, how they turn the grid, and one. I think his character name is literally named One, and so the grid comes directly at him, and yeah, like his meat just like falls apart.
yeah, it's a neat scene. Like it's actually probably one of the more memorable scenes of the movie.
Hmm.
But yeah, it doesn't. It is it Resident Evil ish? No, like it
No,
in
not
any
at
way
all.
connection to like the franchise at
Zombies
that
or
point.
monsters, no.
That's the action part that they definitely wanted to include. You know.
Yeah, no, and then the fact that she has to work her. Okay, so let's talk about it like she's got like a platformer. Okay, so she's got
Okay.
levels, right? Like you got to jump up, and
Yeah.
she gets up to where she has to kill the liquor. Like I think that's meant to be the big boss of the
The
movie.
liquor. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Um, and even seeing the behind the scenes thing where they made it like somebody sculpted it,
Yeah.
sculpted it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Um,
And they did a good job.
they did a great job.
Mhm.
Like looking at it, I was like, somebody
Somebody put that in the
sculpted,
movie.
and painted this,
Yeah,
and
I was
you're
impressed too.
just, yeah. I was like, what the hell? I thought it was completely computer animated, and
Watching the
you
movie,
just kind
right?
of right.
Watching the movie, I got that same impression too, and I was telling it, like, it looked better in the special features, that the liquor looked better in the special features than in the actual
Yeah,
movie
it
most of
looked
the time.
way better.
It's weird.
And like just to have that,
Mhm.
and so you go from that to CGI, and it's like, that's not right.
Before I forget, this movie is definitely better than Prince of Persia. Uh,
Absolutely.
um, so I know we're talking about a lot of things that are wrong with it at this point, but,
Oh
um
yeah, we're not being completely negative.
yeah, these are some things that
These are just things that bother us,
yeah, um,
basically.
this was better than Prince of Persia 2 in the way that it actually felt like the video game. Not every single
Yeah.
part, but there were some good parts that were like, "Hey, that feels like the game."
Oh yeah, a lot of it had to do with the cinematography.
Mhm.
Um, because there are some parts I saw even before I watched the behind the scenes stuff. There are some parts where he's angled shots a certain way or upwards, and it's like, oh, that feels like the game. and
Mhm.
the other games, is just like throwing middle finger in your face, and it's like like just shoot everything.
Yeah, I think a big thing that carried this movie, they had a great cast. Um,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Mia Jovovich is the only consistent cast member.
yeah, and throughout the whole
Yeah, throughout the whole thing, and otherwise they just like they bring back people from the first couple and they die, and just it breaks my heart.
Yeah, there's,
Oded Fair, the the black guy,
oh, yeah, he was really good.
yeah, and then
Michelle
what's
Rodriguez.
oh yeah, she died. Um,
She was good in the movie, it's interesting how they put her on the cover of the, like, the movie
of course
poster.
they would. Why wouldn't they?
It's weird to me that they did, don't get me wrong, like, it
No,
almost
you're not wrong.
yeah, because it almost makes her look like a sidekick, you know?
Yeah, like what?
They end up
Like
taking her out in the later
on the
releases.
later, really, yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say like, yeah, she has nothing to do with anything in the movie.
Um,
She turns into a zombie
yeah, right at the end.
right at the end. Yeah,
One of the things I liked about her characters is that she didn't die so easily as some of the others. Um,
yeah,
there's something, I guess, maybe it's just me, but when people die kind of carelessly in movies, or like cheaply, I guess
hmm
is more of an accurate word. It just kind of gets me out of the movie. Like if that person's gonna die, especially if they're a good character, like like the captain of the whole team that Michelle Rodriguez was a part of. Like
right.
he was like chopped up in like 5 minutes after you see him, for the first time. And and he was one of the guys that just died too soon. Everyone in that room, died like that. And then her, she actually someone who I feel like represents more of reality, I guess, as far as like surviving something like that.
hmm
Um,
Right.
she doesn't just like, oh, there's a zombie. Oh, it has me. Oh, it's biting me. Oh, it's. She'll get like, hey, no, get off me, and boom, like shoots him. But she does get a bit a little too much. Like she's almost like super. Uh, what'd you call it? Like Superwoman over here, getting bit like 10 times by zombies, and uh, yeah, she just keeps going, and they don't even like bandage some of her wounds. She's like bleeding out throughout the whole movie. But yeah, overall though, um, I would have liked. I liked how at least she lasted, and I would have liked to have seen that for a few more of the characters. Um, Especially in that special forces type team that she was a part of.
Yeah.
Like for
Yeah.
instance, like the captain, for
hmm
instance, like it would have been cool if he went out like sacrificing himself, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like make it something big and like meaningful, as opposed to like he's the dumb one who gets trapped in a room who the timer or the security system isn't shut off soon enough, and so he dies. You know, like
Well, I mean, that's terrible, but yeah.
I don't know, like when it's a good character like that, like you should keep it. Like to me, it would you should keep him in the movie, you know. Um, and
Yeah,
if you're gonna make him go out, if he's like that love, he or she or whatever is that lovable of a character, at least make him go out where you know that hey, you know they did a good job, you know.
yeah.
Um, that's what I think, at least. I mean, I guess you know crap happens all the time, you know.
Oh, I mean, you're not wrong. Oh yeah, we seriously went off tangent. Um,
Yeah. But
yeah, there's some real good talent, but
she also does a lot of her stunts. Mila
Jovovich.
Jovovich, yeah. Um, and there, I know in the behind the scenes, or making of, they're saying that how she was actually getting like cut up and in that dress or that dress skirt thing that they put her in.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure she's fine.
Yeah, I think there was like two babies in
And
there.
did she have two babies?
No, or no, but I'm just it looked like there was two in there.
Two or three.
Yeah, she got pretty
All right.
huge.
So she goes through here, right? And then she goes down to the hive even more.
Right, yeah. With
What happens in the hive? She finds the meatloaf dogs.
yeah, exactly. So the whole premise too at the beginning of the movie was shut down. It was going to the lab under the mansion, which they call
Hmm.
the hive.
The
Um,
hive, yeah.
and they had apparently this security system called the Red Queen. Um,
Hmm.
they the way they explain in the movie is that it went crazy and killed everyone. Um, and so for whatever reason, it killed everyone, but only put Mila Jovovich's character to sleep, as well
Hmm.
as her lover in the movie called named Spence. And Mila Jovovich, her character's named what, Lisa, right?
I think it's Alice.
Is it Alice?
Yeah.
Okay, Alice. I don't know why I was thinking Lisa. Okay, so yeah, Alice and Spence, they're both put to sleep for some reason. They're not killed. But anyways, so yeah, I thought that was a weird inconsistency that the Red Queen would kill everyone in the lab, but only put her and
Yeah,
her
that is
lover to
weird.
sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
But what was she doing there to
Um.
begin with?
Yeah, that was weird too. Like, apparently they were like appointed
Like,
protectors of the mansion. Um,
yeah, they were told to go there and then
to pretend that they were
drop
married.
right, and then okay, drop the virus, and who cares what happens next? If you get away, you get away. If you don't, then you forget what happened. Uh, it didn't affect them at all. Well,
Yeah.
it affected her, I guess, because she got like superpowers, right?
Well, you know, that's the part I don't really understand because I think she had them already. I think she was already like a super.
She was like a
Uh,
latent superpower.
yeah, or something like that. Because they were her and Spence were supposedly like top notch. Like, uh,
They're supposed to be the best of the best, sir.
yeah, exactly. And she doesn't come off that way at all, and neither does Spence. It's kind of odd. They look more like trendy,
They look
modern.
like Yeah, they look like
uh,
normal
French people
people.
or something. I don't know.
French people.
Like they look like they're all like she's wearing like this fashion statement, you know?
Mm,
Um,
no, really, like she starts out naked.
she does, yeah. Uh,
So, like, she puts on what they gave her. So, and I don't know where he
he has like a biker
popped.
jacket or something,
Yeah.
most type thing, leather jacket, loose jeans,
Uh,
12 o'clock shadow, and
right. Yeah. He's very trendy.
mhm.
Um,
So they don't look
he
like
what?
top of the line, like kick
Right.
ass
They don't look like total.
agents, you know.
Right. And, but in the end, it does seem like he has known everything, right?
Um,
Like towards
he
the end of the
actually
movie.
so well, actually, they both lost their memory when the Red Queen put them to sleep. So
Hmm.
he actually doesn't recall it like his memory up to that point until the very end.
Hmm.
Once they enter the room where he stole the virus, it all comes back to him, and that's when he picks up the gun, points it at
Oh, that's
Alice, and he's like, you know, come with me. We can still
right.
make it out of here, make a bunch of
Come with
money.
me. Get with me if you want to leave.
And yeah, it was weird. Like, I think his motivation for it all was really just off putting for me. Um, it took me out of the story. Like,
It should. As it should, because it's not very Resident Evil-y.
it's not, no.
Um, but again, well, I mean, anyone who listens to this will know that I feel like the movie storyline itself was not very tied to the actual game
Mm,
at all. Um, they want to think it is,
yeah,
but there's too many agendas. Um,
you know,
there, yeah, go ahead.
I have a feeling that even the creators probably weren't happy with it. I mean,
Oh, I'm sure they hated it.
um, even
That's
though,
why that's why the Japanese keep making CGI movies about Resident Evil. Um, or I'm sorry, Biohazard over there. Um, like I don't think, yeah, they don't like the. They look at us and they're like, "Oh, Americans only like action and punching and shooting." Like the protagonist has to have two guns. Okay, like I feel like they're looking at us like we're dumbasses.
to be in all fairness, it's it's the director and the uh the producers or executives, um,
Right.
and the first one sold. This first one did make
The
enough,
first one
a
did
lot of money.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, um,
But then
apparently,
they just kept pumping them out
yeah.
like a goddamn like they just like oh my god, like it was a
apparently, apparently, the budget was 288 million, and the box office was 1.223 billion. That's a huge success.
Yeah, it's good. Doesn't mean the movie is like
Awesome, but yeah.
compare that compare that to the Transformers movies. And those dude, Transformers sucks.
Don't say
Like
that,
it,
Mike. I like some of those movies. I
I like the
really
first one.
I
I
do
don't
enjoy the
like
first one
any
too.
of the other ones.
The ones I really, really love from that series
Mhm.
is the 1st and 4th, and
Okay.
yeah, because even after the 4th one, like the 5th and 6th, it just it didn't feel right.
Just I think my biggest problem was the design of the robots.
But Resident Evil.
Oh, oh my god. Um,
Because you were saying
Resident.
compare,
Yeah, I was. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Um, I miss having just like a shotgun where you have like, oh, here's 12 shells. It's like that's not enough, but that's what you
Mm.
got.
Man, that's cool. That's cool that you say that because that's the feel you get in the game when you're playing, and,
That's genuine survival horror.
yeah,
Like when
exactly.
you feel like either you don't have enough food or you don't have enough ammo.
Mhm.
And I was actually thinking about that the other day. I was thinking about that scene from the latest is it Dawn of the Dead? The one that Zack Snyder did? But I know the opening scene left an impression um when she wakes up and there's like little girl from next door like comes over here and bites her husband and she kills them both, but she leaves her house and she comes out and it's just like chaos. Like, I think that's a beautiful scene when she
Yeah.
looks around and everything is just messed up pretty bad. Like like everything is fucked. Like there's a fire over here, there's dead bodies.
Cars crashing and
Right, yeah.
what? And that's what I gotta give Resident Evil credit for, um, being a big part in kind of, showing that there is an audience for these movies, and there's a huge audience.
Yeah, but the first one like actually gives you it's like what happens when this gets out?
The virus?
Yeah. Like what happens? Like they're gonna take all these zombies out and they also have a virus and you know uh, what were the two helixes?
Yeah, so
There's a
the
green and a blue.
right, the blue is the T virus, which causes, the body to reanimate and, create zombies, and then there's the green vial, which is the cure,
Okay.
and,
And she was trying to cure what's his face? Eric?
uh,
No, I think
m
that's the actor.
Matt at the end.
Matt.
Yeah, it's his name in the movie,
She
Matt,
was trying to
yeah, he was scratched by the liquor, and so his arm
that's right.
starts, like, mutating.
And that makes him Nemesis.
I think that's what it
Sorry,
is.
yeah.
It's
Because
either
I know he is the next one, the next like huge monster they have, and they put him in a trench coat for whatever reason. conceal his wound with a trench coat and then just let him wander around. I mean, that in itself is kind of scary, I guess.
I guess his misfortune was really felt because he right at the end, he's like, we have the evidence now to put Umbrella,
Hmm.
you know, to bring Umbrella down, and that's when his arm starts mutating, and then the Umbrella Corporation's doctors come in to the mansion where
Oh
they're at
yeah.
and take him away and separate him from Alice, and yeah, and they're like, let's put him in the Nemesis project. And then so further confusing the fans, like, oh, they're gonna make Resident Evil Nemesis next. Okay, we'll wait. So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, that his misfortune was really felt, um, because he was like, I guess he was like the innocent, one of the innocent guys throughout the whole movie. Even though I guess he was like some like criminal,
Hmm.
like
Well,
national criminal or something like that,
yeah.
which is kind of odd, but I didn't get that.
Let's punish him further.
Yeah. He ends up killing Michelle Rodriguez on the train at the end,
That's
um,
right.
and you didn't think she. It kind of like the movie makes you think she's gonna make it, but yeah, she ends up turning into a
Well,
zombie.
you learn there's a cure, and then
Yeah,
she goes along with you, and it's like, well, you're assuming you're gonna cure her.
and she just doesn't receive. They do end up giving it to her, but she doesn't receive it soon enough, because of all the bites and bleeding out she's been going through the whole movie.
Hmm.
And then there was Chaplin, I believe is his name. Was it Chaplin or was it Kaplan? It was Kaplan.
Kaplan.
Yeah, so Kaplan's another
No,
one of the.
it was Charlie Chaplin.
It was Charlie Chaplin who survived.
He twirled his cane.
And they just ran away from his like mustache. The zombie saw it, just took off. Um, but no, Kaplan was another special forces, or part of that special forces team,
Hmm.
and he survived and to the end, but which was actually cool. That was actually kind of reminiscent of the game and how he shows up again at the end
Hmm.
and saves you basically. Um, that that's a Resident Evil thing to do. Um,
Yeah.
and so that was neat to see. But then yeah, then like 5 minutes later he dies. He gets killed by the liquor in the train. Um, but he receives the vaccine too, because he was attacked as well. So no one really gets saved from the vaccine. It's weird.
No, nobody does. Which is also a Resident Evil thing. I think all the characters have it, just like we all have COVID.
And we're all really zombies, but we just.
We're all zombies but we don't do anything.
Yeah, we still go to Waterburger.
We still go to Whataburger and, we get the number one with cheese and we come home
And
and
it keeps the virus at bay.
it does.
Let's see.
I don't understand why Matt became Nemesis.
Right, it's yeah.
Like, was it that bad?
Well, maybe it explains it in the second one more, um, because I know they experiment on her and Lisa
Hmm.
or Alice. I don't know why I keep calling her Lisa, but on Alice, and at the end, which is actually a really awesome scene at the end, where Alice wakes up in a lab, and she wakes up uh, in like what, toilet paper or something wrapped around her, like she's naked again, and
Again.
yeah. And so she finds, what does she find? Like a doctor's robe, and and she walks outside and of the lab, and she just finds out that like this whole, was it Raccoon City that
Yeah.
she's in? It's just been over, completely destroyed and demolished, and buildings are on fire. Yeah, I would also want, at the end they do play the kind of theme song for the movie.
Okay.
I like the song. I think it's a really good song. It fit well with the movie. I don't think it went against like any other part of the soundtrack or anything.
Hmm.
Um, the soundtrack was actually pretty good for this movie too. Um, but yeah, I think when you hear that song that plays at the end, and it even plays at the beginning of the movie too, it just, it's Resident Evil.
Right.
I think Resident Evil does really well with the in general, and this movie did pretty good with it too. I thought, is like hitting the corporation
Hmm.
angle of things, evil corporation type thing. But yeah, I think this movie Resident Evil, I think it was very
It was
uh,
fairly close to the source. I think it sits on that line where, like Silent Hill, where it just kind of like sits there. It's like, well, minimal action. But it doesn't have enough horror,
mm, I
and
agree.
it feels like just
For me, I think one of the biggest things too is just the big kind of like plot hole, why the whole thing even started in the first place.
yeah. That's a like
That's where it falls.
where did it come from? Like if you're gonna say it's a prequel, then explain everything.
Yeah, and it really doesn't. Um,
It doesn't explain anything.
and its explanation for the virus getting out is really not related to the game, first game, at all. It doesn't make sense because Spence overhears Alice talking to like a journalist, basically.
Yeah.
About like, hey, I can get you this information from Umbrella if you use it to take them down, basically. And so Spence overhears that, and then he comes up with the plan to just steal it and sell it. And it's just like, what? Like, and then so when he steals it, he unleashes it on the whole lab.
What's the
And
point of that?
exactly.
Like, what is he trying to accomplish there?
And so that's apparently supposed to be the beginning of how it got out.
It
And
should have
then,
been like an accident, or like, let's test it on our employees, like
yeah.
something stupid. Um, but yeah, to like just like, oh fuck these people. Like, why did they all treat him bad? Was he was he a slacker? And everyone was like, fuck that guy, I hate him.
It makes no
And
sense. Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you gonna?
Yeah. The only thing you know about him is that Alice's lover, and he was like a
Oh
top
yeah, that's
agent,
right.
you know, for the government or something like that. And that's,
For Umbrella. So Umbrella wants to zombify its own employees for no particular reason, even though they have all the resources in the world to test their thing on, anybody else.
hmm
But instead, they allowed it to be stolen and dumped into a vent and everybody in the building is going to turn into a zombie or some kind of monster. And I guess they want to see what happens. Is that the experiment?
Well, no, I mean, that would be even a little more interesting, but the movie just explains it as Spence just wanted to sell it and run away with Alice. All the cash. That's it.
So he was going to sell it on the black market.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it's just like, what the? Like, even as a
What?
kid, I was like, this just doesn't feel right. Like, and even as a prequel, that's not right, you know?
Yeah. It feels more like it should be an accident.
Yeah, an accident or
Like somebody spilled it. Oh God, I'm sorry. Like they got it on their apron or whatever, and
doesn't
they're
tell
like,
anyone.
"Oh, yeah, exactly." And they move along, and
They wake up
uh,
one day, just a zombie
yeah,
next to
yeah, they just
their.
have like, yeah,
Because they all
exactly.
live there. They all lived in the hive,
They
apparently.
lived in the hive, yeah. So you wake up, you you bite someone, and there it goes. I don't
Mhm.
need someone to be doing espionage.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. Like you're dooming everybody. Like you can make $1 billion. You're still screwed because
And you
what are you
just
making it for?
mhm. I
It's
will say it is better than Prince of Persia. I think
it
to be
is closer to the games.
yeah, and that too. Yeah.
At least it tried to be a horror movie, and it tried to be scary, and it
Mhm.
tried to be kind of engaging.
Yeah, exactly. It does a
But
good job on that
yeah,
overall
yeah. But like when you start kicking, you know,
while kicking at
m-
zombie
meat,
dogs.
yeah, meat dogs. I don't know how else to put it. Meatloaf dogs. Um,
Yeah.
they look delicious.
They look like they had,
You
like, some
want to,
barbecue on them,
you want to
right?
just have like, yeah, put some sauce on them and
Yeah,
just like, just have some meat dogs.
true.
Ooh,
Sloppy dog.
sloppy dogs. Serve them up. Donate them to local schools. Yeah, just
Get
put little
them sloppy
pieces.
dogs.
And then in 20 years, they're going to be like, hey, remember when we used to have sloppy dogs? That was so good with the rolls.
Mhm.
Sloppy dogs
Like the honey rolls.
with the honey rolls. Yeah, good dogs.
Yeah. I forgot to mention this, but they went in there to shut down the queen and to get basically her servers, the information, and find out what happened.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is, like, why not just go? Isn't she part of a network where you can just they can access it remotely and get this information that way? You know?
Not in 2002.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
I mean, they probably could, but they have to call
right.
IT and they're like, Hive support, how can I help you?
So that's what I was like, dude. Like, why you don't need to open this thing back up and
No, yeah, they could do it. They probably could have done it remotely.
mhm.
They just didn't have the phone number.
Yeah. Like, oh shoot, this is
Does anyone know the extension for IT? Um,
they're probably like,
no.
IT, what's that? Like, what's
What's IT mean?
that? Right. You mean ET? I like
What do
that
you mean
movie.
ET? We can phone home.
Phone home. ET, phone home. But yeah, man. So yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a, I mean, overall, I mean, it's a decent adaptation. I mean, it's overall decent.
mhm,
I think it kicked off something um, that I personally ended up despising. Is that a word?
yeah.
Despising. Okay. I think it kicked off something like that, like where I just like hated every subsequent entry in the series,
Mhm,
and uh, at the same time, the game itself
mhm.
um, got worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that this influenced the games?
Yes,
Me too.
I think people wanted more action, and really, what makes Resident Evil a thing is the tension. And I think I'm glad um, Resident Evil 7 came out because that game is freaking terrifying
It
for
looks
me.
terrifying.
It's pretty scary um, because it's first person and it's like a chainsaw massacre kind of feel to it. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I feel like maybe the movies influence. I'm sorry. The games influence the movies way like to the point where like six. I whenever I watch the gameplay to that, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like it's just like a giant monster going through a city and you have to stop it. Like how is that Resident Evil?
Yeah, I don't know. Um, that was definitely more action oriented, but 5 was I think 4
Yeah.
was even heading in that direction a little bit
Yeah,
more
4 was a little bit.
because you actually had more ammo in that game, than
That's already a
without,
departure
like, normal.
because
Yeah.
you show up with like your whatever you have, and that's what you got. Like you got to spare it.
Yeah.
That's what survival horror is like you get what you have and you go and find more if you can.
Mhm.
That's like the main thing. Um
Yeah, that's a good point to make. Um,
like you don't have enough of anything. You don't have any plants, you don't have any ammo, you don't have any anything like sprays or whatever
mhm.
comes up. Like you gotta wander around, you gotta find it. And that's what I love about the first game is because I refuse to play anything past 7. I'm not going to. 7, I think I've played 7, 3, 2, and 1,
Mm.
and not even all the way through. So, like, you gotta manage your resources.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big thing, I think, in those games for sure.
Um, and that's what makes it scary is like oh, I can't like just, punch a box and oh, there's more health there. Oh, there's more ammo. Like you can't just do that. Like you got to wander around. You have to endure like Jesus Christ, there's a giant spider uh and you got to kill it to get past. Yeah, generally I just don't like scary games cuz I don't like participating in my own terror. So I never go through like haunted houses or like in terms of real life. I never go through like haunted mazes or haunted houses. Like I just don't go because I get super scared and it raises my blood pressure and I just get like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Um, I'm not going to deal with that unless I'm in like a hostage situation where I have no control. No, thank you. But yeah, what else? Uh, uh, do I think for me personally, the main thing is Mia Jovovich, and like she's really hot, but um, she like the way they use her is like I get it, but the way they use her is a hot chick does acrobatics or whatever, and
yeah,
that's okay, but does it fit? You're trying to make into a movie,
right, right.
like when in okay, so this was 2002, right? 2001, and then it's like let's drop somebody in that can kick a bunch of dogs in the face. Where in any of the games does that happen where you have to kick a dog in the face?
I think it happens. I think they start kicking in. I think it was 4, Resident Evil 4. He actually
Oh, so
does a kick.
that's like 12 years later.
Or I don't think it was that much later. Actually, it was like maybe because it came out on PS2, so it was actually
Oh, okay.
maybe within 4 years,
But
probably
then
that
okay.
of, since 2002, 4 or 5 years.
But still like a Resident Evil built on the ideas of a haunted mansion. That's just me. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, no, I think a lot of fans felt that way. I think even the critics felt that way, which were kind of in line with the fans.
I'm
Um,
sure the Japanese felt that way.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure they did. So,
I think it is a rough movie. Um,
mhm.
like if all you're gonna watch is that and don't give a shit about the sequels, then it's fine. But
Mhm. Yeah.
uh, if we're gonna watch it with the intention of watching all of the other ones, prepare yourself because this is as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah. Right. I would say the
Like
same.
you can't. Honestly, this is the most competent one. The rest of them, uh, I mean, I know they put a lot of work into the other ones, but it, this one actually makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I
After everything
feel,
said. Mhm.
yeah,
Me too.
that's what I feel like. I don't know. Um,
Mm.
But it's not a smart movie, but it's intelligent enough to know that, like,
So yeah, it's this is one I could see. Like, let's say you weren't a Resident Evil fan, and you wanted to just see this movie.
hmm
Like, I feel like um, people would still get a taste of Resident Evil,
hmm
um, and it may interest them in the games, but um, and may come out just thinking, hey, yeah, it was good, it was all right, nothing bad.
hmm
Um, but yeah, it's after this one, they just kind of get more. It just starts going downhill.
right, yeah,
But it's entertaining, It's entertaining. Some people don't really demand too much, um, but um, I think we should have more quality video game movies, and entertainment,
no, I agree.
some of these games too, like especially this one, um, are so much better than their movies. Like, it's just, yeah, these movies do a lot of disservice, sometimes more than helping the game out. And this one does a little bit of more service to the game, a little bit more, and so I appreciate it for that too.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
but yeah, yeah, just
No, you're right.
they need to. But yeah, these directors and writers and stuff, they need to step up their game,
Yeah,
um, when it comes to these, because hopefully, and there's going to be a reboot. Apparently, Capcom wants to release a whole other series of movies. Well, I think it'd be great if they got Romero's script and
yeah.
went
I
off
mean, he
that.
had like it. It was exactly the first game.
Hmm.
With all of the, I want to say, positive choices that you could make.
Mm,
Um, uh, and it just, the first one, like, I feel like the series is like branched out gradually. Um, First you're at the house, second one you're at the city, third one you're at more of the city, fourth one you're like off the reservation completely. It doesn't tie into anything.
right.
So, like, but otherwise, as I guess looking at it as its own movie, it's not bad. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, overall, I wanted to keep watching to the end, and I think for the most part, it did that well for me. And but it's entertaining. It's still fun in its own ways. So, but yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
No, that's fine. That's just like it's good, but it isn't good.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but I
No, it makes sense.
don't. um, yeah, but I wouldn't pay over like $10 for this movie.
I paid $5 for it, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um,
Um, it's just, I mean, the director's kind of deluded where he thinks that this is prequel. And I'm like, okay, well then what happens next? How did you lead into what happened next? And no, I'm sure he has no good answer for that.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll get that director's cut. He's been he's been talking about.
Oh my god.
I don't know if that could help or not.
The Anderson cut.
All right, Mike. Well, hey man, I gotta let you go.
All right.
Um,
Yeah, all right.